Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the city's workshops meeting, and I would ask the clerk at this time to call roll.
Here.
Cook,
Here.
Hannett,
Here.
Odenettle.
Here.
Ruben DeSalis. Here. Scott,
Here.
Speed,
Here.
Watts,
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Mayor Edson,
Here.
City Attorney Beard.
Here.
Okay, item number one, under the mayor's report, is to discuss New Directions Warming and Cooling Center's request for funding. And at the last meeting, I know a couple meetings back, we requested information from New Directions that they provided and it was sent out. But I'm getting the feeling from a few of the aldermen that we just still don't know enough. And I put this on the agenda just in case we wanted to talk about it or if New Directions was here. But if we can either table it, but I would imagine we can just remove it and take it to special studies. I just spoke with Alderman Williams, and she's ready to get all the players together, potential players of the future, and come up with a plan moving forward.
I totally agree with removing it from the agenda tonight. First off, we have never budgeted for this.
Right.
This particular item, and I think it needs more exploratory information from a body under Chairman Williams over there, and we'll go from there. But I think it just needs to be removed from the agenda for tonight.
Yeah, and if we want to talk, that's fine, but, there's a lot of different players. It's just not New Directions, and I know that Chief Mefford's very knowledgeable in this. He sees it daily. Alan Bradish with the police and his wife Olivia, they deal with this every day. There's other players in this town that may need to come on board, not just the city to help in the funding. And, I know they're exploring grants and things like that, but formulate a plan moving forward. I believe their pastor who is allowing it in Grace Church is leaving this summer, so that opens up a whole, is the new pastor coming in? Is this on his, list or her list? There's just a lot of things. Now, I don't want to, I'm not saying, I hope they have enough funding through, at least April or May where the weather's warm, and I just don't know the right approach. So if anybody has any ideas, I think what we'll do in special studies is kind of explore things. So. But if anybody in the community has any comments or suggestions, please reach out, because this is a tough, call. But we get asked a lot for funding, and we just need to know a little more. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. City Attorney's report.
Thank you. Then with that, we'll just pull that from the agenda from the mayor's report under the regular council meeting. First item I have it is concerning the 2021 home rule volume cap. We've been through this every year for many years. The city is limited to the amount of bonds they can issue for various projects. We, to my knowledge, haven't issued any bonds that would qualify under that restriction since I've been around. Since we don't use those bonds, we don't finance some project where those bonds would come into play. What we have done is transferred those to the Western Illinois Economic Development Authority, and they can use our volume cap with another community for some major project they have. In exchange, we always have the opportunity to go to Western Illinois Economic Development Authority and request bond cap back if we ever do a project that's in excess of what our bonding would allow. So that is on the agenda tonight, simply to make that annual transfer. I should quickly add the bonds or the low-interest loans, for example, that we have through IEPA for utility projects, they are not part of this volume cap. So as we have that low-interest loan in place for the water treatment plant, and as we're going into the new project with the wastewater treatment plant, that will be unaffected by the action that you'll be taking tonight. Any questions on that at all? Second item, discuss pre-annexation agreement. Chris Campbell at 1627 State Highway 78 North contacted us a couple of weeks ago. He'd like to hook onto a water line out there that runs right in front of his property. He's been on a well up to this point, and it's not working too well. In order for a property outside the corporate boundaries to hook onto a water line, they must sign a pre-annexation agreement which states that if they eventually become contiguous to the city of Jacksonville, then they will annex to the Jacksonville. Right now, the city limits end out there south of where we're talking. So we have tonight just the approval of the pre-annexation agreement. We conducted the public hearing at 5:45. And once that agreement is approved and signed, then he'll be able to tap onto the water line, paying just the normal charges. He pays the $250 tap fee. He also will have to cover the cost of the advertisement for the publication, the newspaper for this public hearing that we had. The other area where this has taken place quite a bit is way out on Mound Avenue. It's the same situation out there as we have out by North Jacksonville School, where we've got a city water line running out there, but it's not within the city limits. Any questions on that one? And if not, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Committee reports tonight. Parks and Lakes, Alderman Marge Oldmill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 3 items. Our first is the report of the Parks and Lakes Committee meeting we had on March 10th. It was a brief meeting, and we discussed 2 items, one of which was discussing the electrical bids to replace the pedestals at Lake Jacksonville. We had a very short discussion on that because unfortunately, we only have 1 bid at this time. We anticipated having 2 at the time of the meeting, but we did not. So we're going to discuss that at a later time. And the item that we did discuss at length was discussing the private campground rates. And by the end of our conversation, we decided that it's been 7 years since we've increased rates at the private campsites. And we'd like to increase it by $20 this year and $20 next year and do it for a 2-year lease. Brett, do you have anything else you would like to add? If anybody has any questions for Brett, but that would be our recommendation tonight, and it is on the agenda. Okay, good. Number 2, well, discuss waiving bids and accepting proposal for a new truck for the Jacksonville Parks and Lakes. And I'll defer to Adam.
This is for a new work truck, be a 3/4 ton crew cab for us through a state bid from Morrow Brothers at $39,980, and there's $40,000 in capital improvement. So there's not very many of them. I'm trying to get our name on the list, so with your guys' approval, I'd like to go ahead and put that through and get that going so we can get it in. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions for that?
Thank you. I'm glad you found one.
I guess why I'm up here. I have in capital improvement for $55,000 for a mower. 3 years ago, it was about $51,000. I got the estimate, $84,000. So I will be looking for some new avenues for that. But I just wanted a little FYI.
We're seeing it everywhere, yeah. Thank you, Adam. Number 3, discuss renewing private camping club contracts, and I alluded to that under agenda item 1. We want to make it a 2-year contract, $20 increase this year and next year. And that's all we have.
Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Thank you. We have 5 items. The first is discuss approving advertisement for bids for the 2022 sidewalk and concrete replacement program. Les, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'd like to put out sidewalk bids. I got a certain amount out of capital improvement for it, and we haven't been able to keep up with it. Other things on our plate, but yeah, I'd like to put it out for bids.
Les and I and Doug Pagel had a long discussion on that this afternoon, and there's just a lot of challenges like we talked about, getting people to actually do it, and we're hopeful that someone will step up. But there's 2 ways we can do this. We can, in the past, we've used our guys to tear out the sidewalk, and then the other contracted folks go in and replace.
Yeah.
Or do we want to try it differently this year and just bid it out and let them do it all?
Let them
if we
take
can
the
find
sidewalk
that
out
person?
and import, yeah. Yep.
but they have to pay prevailing wage, so it's pricey, and Alderman Hannett, was walking, and he indicated some sidewalks, they're everywhere, unfortunately. We just want to try to get as much done as we can, and I know that there's money in the capital improvements that Les put more money in, but maybe we should consider putting even more money in through ARPA funds for, if we can find that person, maybe start off with what we've budgeted, but if that magic person comes and gets it done, then we can kind of increase as we move on to get more sidewalks done. That's kind of our thinking in our meeting today. I mean,
Yeah.
did you have,
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, there's only like 3 or 4 we identified, or
Probably 3, maybe 3 local bidders that bid on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our problem is you pull in a neighborhood, you can't get out of there. I mean, you can go back, you can go forward, you can go east and west, whatever. There's sidewalks all over to redo. I mean, it's just, yeah,
It's tough.
yeah.
Yeah. But we got, like Doug said, we have to start somewhere, and this might be just if someone's hungry for the work. I mean,
So anyway, I've talked to Dan's office, and she got a thing wrote up already, and if you approve it, so.
And unless if you wouldn't mind, for some of our new councilmen, the process for those of us, we oftentimes have people who reach out to us and say, hey, how do I go about getting my sidewalks replaced? I know I called you last week.
Yep, call and get on the list. I mean,
But then you also do quadrants of town where you put some emphasis on. So it's
Yeah.
not like we don't have a sidewalk replacement plan in place.
nope, there's
You
been a
have
plan. I
some-
mean, we go to one section and we do like, gotta split up in like 4 sections of town. Go to one section, do a little bit, and move over here and do a little bit, but, I mean, you wanna get the bad areas. But it's all bad.
well,
I mean,
and then
yeah.
then the folks see you out doing it, and
Yeah.
they say, well, down here is even worse, so you're
Yeah.
staying in that section of town
Exactly.
longer than going to the next section.
Like you go to
It's-
someplace that's on the list and they're like, well, I'm not on the list, but can you do mine while you're here? So then that holds you up off the list, you know? I counted today and there's 146 properties on the list. And that's not really a whole lot for the size of Jacksonville. But there's more than that. Yeah. So anyway, you wanna talk about the other thing while I'm here or not? No? About Forest Park. Forest Park, I met with Doug Pagan, we've been working on that, and I only put $200,000 in capital improvements. Well, he figured it's gonna be 3 to maybe 350. And we do half of it and do the other half next year, but his advice is do the whole thing while we're there. So we can come up with the rest of the money, because next year it's gonna be more money. You see what I'm talking about? I mean, to have them back in again next year.
Yeah, and Doug, we've all driven Forest Park East, West, and
North, yeah,
would be the roads, and just knock it out.
yep.
And there again, there's potential ARPA funds you can use for that.
We've been out and core drilled it and seen what is there, and, yeah, we're gonna have to mill off the middle and the ends and overlay it,
But it's in bad. It's probably the worst in town.
yeah,
It is.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you ought to just do it all at one time. If we can find the funds to do it, just do all of them.
Yeah,
Price will go up next year, no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah, and the price of oil is going up this year, so, I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, you don't have to make a decision tonight, but we'll need to get,
No,
advertise and
I will say they are starting to work on the plans.
go the route.
So, yeah,
Well, that would be just, though, it wouldn't be Sherwood, because Sherwood's still decent, and it wouldn't be Justin.
And it wouldn't be
would
Justin.
just be the Forest Parks.
Forest Park East, West, and North. And if you ever drove down them, they're a mess, I mean, yeah. I mean, we passed them last year, I mean, but it didn't last, I mean, it rains and it didn't end down the bottom of the hill, so,
But like you indicated, that's why over the years, the city's put in, restrictions as far as new subdivisions, so that doesn't happen again.
exactly,
So,
yeah. Because I don't know when that was built, and then, yeah. And by corn sampling it, run the core sample, yeah, we found that out, so, yeah.
Les, is this just gonna be an overlay, or,
We're gonna mill it and overlay it, yeah, with about 3 inches.
okay,
Yeah, the middle's brought up so high, and it's, yeah, I don't know why it got so high, but it did. Then the overlaid in the gutters, and it was a state mix. It's really a coarse mix, so it really holds moisture, and we won't go back with that, of course, but, yeah, that's what it's a non-skid mix, and we're about done with it in town. I mean, we're about got rid of all that we had, so.
Did you want to mention the truck? Okay. I know
Nope,
you've
that's
got
already
one.
done.
It's
That's
going to
already
take
done.
how long?
That's already done.
How long? You going to save that one up?
Huh?
Well, you said it's going to take you so long to get it, but,
That's gonna be next year.
all right.
Okay, so we're good to put that sidewalk up for bids? Yeah?
All right, very good.
Next item is discuss waiving bids and accepting proposal for a new lawnmower for the Jacksonville Cemeteries Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. What I have is a new mower to replace, we've got 5 mowers in our fleet between the 2 properties, and this is the oldest mower that we have on the list right now. It's at the end of its warranty extension, or warranty period, and I'd like to rotate that. So I've got a bid for $10,300, and with a $3,000 trade-in, $3,300 trade-in, I'll be able to get a new 2022 mower for $7,000. I budgeted $10,000 for capital improvement. And this is similar type mower to the group that we have. My crew is familiar with that. We stock parts for this particular brand. And the vendor has been very good to us as far as taking care of service and whatnot with us. I did look around to see where he was at on prices for suggested retail and where he was starting his pricing to me, and he was within $100 of that. So I feel pretty good about it. Bought 2 a few years ago. This one actually has a few more options on it and a larger mower or motor. So 2 years difference is what we're looking at there for about $2,000 difference. And then that'll put me in a 4-year cycle, which is what we try to stay with those to keep them under warranty. Any questions about that?
I have a question. Adam, can you use one of his lawnmowers?
Yes. I will say that Adam did share that situation with me, and it scared me a little bit because availability is also becoming an issue with some of the dealers as far as even finding product. So there's a limited amount out there, and then the horizon as far as acquiring additional is also changing. So it's kind of limited. Thank you.
The next item is discuss request to rezone property located at 1112 Veterans Drive from B4 to B4 with special use. I was not at the meeting.
I can address that. This is for the property that Danny Kindred owns. He has a purchaser for that contingent upon rezoning. This is for a cannabis distribution center. Mr. Pleasant, who is the person coming in from Washington State, has been involved in 10 or 12 of these facilities. He addressed any questions that the Plans Commission or the audience had. It meets all the requirements of our zoning ordinance and our underlying municipal code when we, a couple of years ago, authorized various cannabis facilities and so forth in town. And it was approved with 1 negative vote at the Plans Commission.
Now, I know there's folks probably want to talk.
If they want to-
Yeah, if you'd like, Gretchen.
I used to live on Forest Park. but I moved. So thank you for fixing that road. I would also like to thank you for all your hard work that you do for the city. Also, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen to our voice, to us voicing our concern about this. My grandmother, Jackie Utley, took over bought Merle Norman Cosmetics, and a Made in America company, back in 1985. She and my mother, Sheila Jones, moved into 1122 Veterans Drive, the building next door to the building next to 1112 Veterans Drive. And I have worked there for over 15 years. We have been in this location through many different owners of the building, from Robert Bob Black, who built the building, to Ernie Downing, who owned Colton Downey Insurance and sold the building, to the current owner, Diamond Brothers Insurance. We have been in this building for 28 years, and we do not plan to go anywhere else. Not only do we own Merle Norman Cosmetics, we do operate the United States Contract Post Office. With this post office being across the adjacent parking lot of the building in question, we are concerned about individuals attempting to mail these products with the federal, which is a federal offense. We are also concerned about the response they may have when they find out these products cannot be mailed. Even though there are security lights and cameras and alarm systems in place, we have been broken into 3 different times. Our building is on the back side of Lincoln Square and behind the building in question. And Veterans Drive is a low-traffic street off Morton Avenue. We are very concerned for safety. I don't know if this is being recorded or going to be in the paper, but we would prefer that this next statement be off the record. My mother works full-time and runs both businesses 6 days a week. She is often there by herself. She is counting money, preparing deposits, and having to take deposits to her car by herself. And sometimes I do that as well. Not only that, we do have my 2-year-old daughter there, and we do take her, we watch her there, and we take her there to our car. And in the summer, it's at light, but at night, in winter, it's dark. Since the parking lot is behind the building in question, we are concerned that people who need a fix, or who are high, or be walking behind the building, and God forbid, do something to my mother, or even my daughter or myself. And do not forget that the building in question is 3 blocks from Jacksonville Middle School. I have witnessed many junior high schoolers walking down Lincoln Avenue to the apartments, and I would hate for them to be offered drugs or have this temptation. And Gateway, the drug rehabilitation center, is very close to us as well. In fact, today we had a customer who walked from Gateway to mail a package, and they don't need this temptation as well. I know you may think I'm exaggerating or being dramatic, but we do not know what could happen if this place comes to our neighborhood. Research has shown that crime rates have gone up in neighborhoods who have this dispensary in them. Lorraine A. Hughes, PhD, Associate Professor in the School of Public Affairs at University of Colorado, has quoted, "We found that neighborhoods with 1 or more medical or recreation dispensaries saw increased crime rates that were between 26 and 1,452% higher than in neighborhoods without any commercial marijuana activity." This is in the Crime and Justice Research Alliance. We are against this location and dispensary altogether. In a perfect world, we would ask you that you would not even consider bringing this type of business into our city. But if it has to come into our town, we would ask you to find a different location. We have talked to a lot of people about this business coming to town, and they all have been against it. They have all had the same attitude. There's nothing we can do to stop it. And that's a sad statement for 2 reasons. Number 1, they feel that the politicians have failed them on a federal, state, and even local level. And number 2, they see that our city council is choosing revenue for our city But at what cost? Safety? Will you choose to bring yet another business that will cause more drugs and crime in our city? Please do the right thing for our children and yours and make the right decision. Thank you for taking these things into consideration as you make your decision. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay.
The next item is discuss request to rezone property located at 117 East Morton Avenue from B3 to B3 with special use. That would be the Pizza Hut, I believe, and the special use was for the drive-through.
It's the east half of the Dunkin' Donuts property, and they are setting up just a drive-through with a few seats inside for people waiting for pizzas, but no service at the facility as far as going in to eat. And the drive-through will be such that you'll pick up your pizza on the far east side of the building. So the traffic pattern should be fine.
The next item is discuss request to rezone property located at 747 West Lafayette Avenue from public to B4. It's the old Lafayette School.
Yes, the old Lafayette School, and the existing facilities on down the street on Lafayette, they're simply moving back up this direction. Gave a very good presentation. The only question that came up was part of their facility and overall plan is they have a couple of miniature ponies that are used with the autistic children. And they, I think, did a very good job of answering any concerns of one neighbor as to what was involved with that. And it's not going to be a livestock farm or anything like that. So that one was approved unanimously as well.
Any questions? Aaron? Okay. Public protection, Alderman Bartlett.
We have one item tonight, and that's to discuss advertising for bids for 2 SUV squad cars, which will be less than trade-in allowance for the Jacksonville Police Department. Do you have anything, Adam?
If there's any questions, that was in the capital improvement budget request for the police department this year. We opted to just go with 2 cars other than our standard 3 that we usually get every year to try to free up some extra money for the city this year. So we thought we could make do with 2 new cars instead of 3. So that's what we are asking for, is just 2 cars this year in the capital improvement. And we'd like to go out for bids to see if we can get the best deal.
Okay. Okay, any public comment at this time? Further? We will adjourn the workshop session. And we'll call the meeting to order, and I'd ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would ask the clerk to please call a roll.
Bartlett,
Here.
Cook,
Here.
Henry. Here. Hannett,
Here.
Odenettle,
Here.
Ruben DeSalis,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Speed,
Here.
Watts,
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Mayor Izzard,
Here.
City Attorney Beard,
Here,
you have a quorum.
Is there a reading of the minutes this evening? Anybody?
I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes as circulated.
Thank you. Is there a second? Alderman Scott. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any petitions?
No petitions,
Any communications?
no communication.
Okay, and there is claims that are in the hands of the alderman. Is there a motion to pay claims this evening? Alderman Cook, second by Alderman Bartlett. All those in favor of paying the claims, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item under the mayor's report as discussed in the workshop will be pulled and sent to the Special Studies Committee for more discussion. City Attorney's report.
Thank you. The one item is a resolution authorizing the renewal of the agreement with the Board of Commissioners of Morgan County concerning the Morgan County Animal Control Program.
Okay, is there a, wait, we gotta get up to,
Motion to take it off the table.
yeah, is there a motion to take this off the table, or is there discussion?
Yeah. If you remember, this was tabled from the last meeting, so first we need a motion to remove it from the table so we can discuss it now.
Alderman Speed, second by Alderman Scott.
Voice vote's okay on that.
Okay, is, everybody respond by saying aye if you want to pull it off the table?
Yes.
Aye. Aye. I think, yeah. Opposed? Okay, now we can talk.
And then a motion would be in order to approve that resolution.
Is there a motion this evening? Alderman Scott, second by, no, Alderman Henry? Yeah,
Let me read it first. Yeah,
Read it
okay.
and then discuss.
Be it resolved that the City of Jacksonville approves the agreement for animal control program for the next year.
Discussion. Any discussion on this?
Yes, skipped it.
Skip did.
Yes, it did. And the determination was made by them that, yes, we overpaid them $523.75 based on the 2020 census that we received on October 14th, 2021. And the fourth quarter for 2021 had already been paid, so therefore, the end of the new census for 2020, it actually took effect January 1 of 2022. It will run until we get a new census. It'll run for 10 years from that date forward. The past, in looking at it, the 2010 census came out in October, approximately October of 2011. And then in 2017, there was another census done. They got another, and that's when it was lowered to the 18,454. So prior to 2020, we were paying from 2017 to 2020, we were paying at 18,454, which was the 41,000 based on the 250. However, the $2.50 increase was increased in 2020, and that increase was not brought to the attention of the council. So therefore, that's why we're in this situation today, to go back and approve the $250 per person, but under the new census of 17,616, which will lower the payment from the 46,135 down to the $44,040, and that's $11,010 every quarter. What they have done, what the commissioners have done, is they've broken it out so that every community in Morgan County, based on its population, pays that same $250 for animal control. And according to the commissioners, and they have no records of this, but they assume and can probably, you could probably tell Jacksonville's the largest community in Morgan County, that we probably have 75 to 80% of all the calls for animal control in the county. But we're based, our pay is based on that. The county also pays for their share too. So it all goes in. It's not the county, it's the Animal Control Board per se. So with the next payment, which goes out April 1, we will reduce that $11,010 by the $523.75. And then from that point on until we get a new census, which could be 2025, 2027, I'm not sure how that all works. But the last one was 2010 and then 2017 for the new numbers. That's all I think. Well, I took a lot of time in doing all the math on this whole thing, and after talking with the commissioners and bringing it to their attention, they said, you know, if that's the case, that's the case. But because we did not have the 2020 census, see the numbers all roll together, the 2020 census until 2021, you really can't lower the population back to 2020 because we've already paid it. But now we'll go 10 years forward from 2022 unless we want to cancel, and we can cancel that service at any given point in time, giving them 90-day notice. If you want to cancel your animal control, so don't let your dogs out.
Any other clarity? Okay. I would ask the clerk, please call roll.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Hannett,
Yes.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Ruben DeSellis, Scott,
Yes.
Speed, Watts,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Okay, city clerk's report tonight.
Do I have any?
You have a raffle item.
Yeah, I've got 4 items that we sent to you via email. The February 28th Development Department report, the clerk's cash receipts report, general fund budget report, and revenue analysis report. Any questions on any of those, please stop by or send me an email. We'll try to go over them. And then the number 5 is a motion approving a raffle license for the Jacksonville Public Schools Foundation. This is an annual raffle, and according to the ordinance, anything over $5,000 has to come to the council. Some of the other ones, we've made the determination that we don't have to bring it to the council. They have their insurance, they have all the paperwork that they need. It's not their first rodeo, so it's basically all in order, and I would recommend approval of that raffle permit.
Okay, is there a motion? Alderman Scott, second by Alderman Large Oldnettle. Voice vote. All those in favor of approving the raffle license for the Jacksonville Public Schools Foundation, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Public comment. I saw Ms. Polly walking in. Polly, you want to come up and tell us about Juneteenth and things, or you want to wait till the end of the meeting? No. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Polly Williams. Everybody knows by now. I'm president of the NAACP. And we have been working on a mural for Dr. Killebrew. And it is going to go on Lincoln Land building on North Main. And we're going to use that as a celebration for Juneteenth, June 18th. We also have, hopefully, have his daughter coming up from Alton to cut the ribbon if she can. She's up in age now, and she said she didn't know right away if she'd be able to. But if I have to send somebody to get her, I probably will. But I want it to be really nice. I've talked to Judy about downtown celebration. I want this to be a community affair. I want everybody to know why we are having Juneteenth, and we would like the whole city council to help us when we need any help. I've talked to the Rotary, I hope to talk to Brandy. I'd like to see something like we used to have a long time ago when we had welcome bags for people for out of town that we know. I've also talked to Art, and he will have the Black Museum out at the Talbot House at the same time. I'm also going to beg from Gene, I'm on the committee with the mass transit, to see if we can have some shuttle services for people that doesn't drive, senior citizens and stuff. Most of all of us have our own cars, but there are some senior citizens that wouldn't know. We hope to have flyers. We hope to have vendors up in the square so everyone will know what this is for. And my biggest concern is that we need help. We want this to be a community affair, and we are working hard to do this. And I just want to come here and say that we're here, and we want the support from the council. I also want Andy to give us a proclamation. So if you have any questions, I'd be willing to answer them right now, but I may be back begging by the end of the season. So, if there's that.
Community, she bends my ear a lot, and so she's not shy either, so.
No, I told him
Yeah,
I had a few
that's for
more,
sure.
but I'd be nice tonight.
No, yeah, we'll get this on the calendar. If you've talked to Judy at Main Street about already putting it on the calendar, I'm sure she's talked to.
Yes, I
Kevin,
have.
so, yeah, that's great.
I have. And I also want to talk to your Terry. They
Terry
told me,
Schmidt.
yeah, they told me I need to talk to him because I do, if I can, do ribbon cutting, food trucks and stuff.
Okay.
So they can do that too.
Okay, that's great.
I'm gonna hopefully get Robert to do
Oh,
some
Robert,
music.
good.
Yes,
This is,
So-
it's a neat mural, isn't it?
yes,
It's
I have a
really neat.
picture of it
Yeah, it's-
already. And we will be selling T-shirts, so anyone that would like to have it, this is our mural.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you're welcome.
Consent agenda items tonight. Finance, IT, and Personnel, Alderman Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 4 items tonight. The first is a resolution authorizing payments from the Capital Improvement Fund for certain improvement projects. Item 2 is the resolution authorizing payments from the General Fund for services rendered. Number 3 is a resolution approving transfer of the 2022 home rule volume cap to the Western Illinois Economic Development Authority. And the final one is a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the General Fund to the Health Insurance Administration Fund.
Very good. Parks and Lakes, Alderman Large Oldnuttle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one item this evening, resolution authorizing the waiver of advertisement for bids and accepting proposal for the purchase of a 2022 Ford pickup truck for the Jacksonville Parks and Lakes Department.
Very good. Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 2 items. The first being resolution authorizing advertisement for bids for the 2022 sidewalk and concrete replacement program. Second item is resolution authorizing the waiver of advertisement for bids and accepting proposal for the purchase of a lawnmower for the Jacksonville Cemeteries Department.
In Public Protection, Alderman Bartlett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one item tonight, a resolution authorizing advertisement for bids for 2 SUV squad cars, less their trade-in allowance for the Jacksonville Police Department.
And Utility, Alderman Watts.
We have 2 items tonight. The first, resolution authorizing payments from the Water Works and Sewage Project Fund for services rendered improvement projects. And number 2, resolution approving pre-annexation agreement for property located at 1627 State Highway 78 North regarding water sales outside the corporate limits of the city of Jacksonville.
And is there a motion for the consent? Alderman Large Oldnuttle, second by Alderman Scott. Is there any items at this time under the consent agenda you wish to pull for further discussion or run down to committee? Seeing none, I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Hannett,
Yes.
Odenettle,
Yes.
Ruben DeSalis. Scott,
Yes.
Speed, Watts,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Committee reports tonight. Parks and Lakes, Alderman Large Oldnuttle.
Thank you. We have one item, first reading of an ordinance authorizing execution of a lease agreements with the private camping clubs at Lake Jacksonville. term April 1, 2022 through March 31, 2024.
Is there a second? Alderman Cook?
Be it ordained that the, actually, this was with the emergency clause.
Oh, because the,
Be signed,
yep,
so could we have motion for the emergency clause first?
before the season starts.
Sure.
Alderman Scott, second by Alderman Watts to invoke the emergency clause. And I would ask the clerk to please call roll. You understand what we're doing? We want to get this done before the, and out to the clubs for payment before the lake season opens April 1st, so that's kind of where we're at. Messed your sheet up, didn't you?
Yep, I did. I'm gonna have to work on that. The motion again for the emergency
Alderman
clause.
Scott, second by Alderman Watts.
Roll call on the emergency clause. Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Hannett,
Yes.
Odenell,
Yes.
Ruben DeSalis. Scott,
Yes.
Speed, Watts,
Yes.
Williams. Motion passes.
You don't need
got
me to
that
read it
with
again?
Lori and Cook on the,
Yep. Lori and Cook.
Mhm.
So we've got a motion and second for second reading. Be it ordained that Louisa Bridge, City of Jacksonville, and various private clubs, Whittier, Jacksonville Family Campers, Woodland County Boat and Ski Club, Pine Point Campers, Pioneer Point Campers, and Starlight Campers are hereby approved.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Williams? Yes. Watts?
Yes.
Speed? Scott?
Yes.
Ruben DeSalis? Odenell? Hannett? Henry?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Planning and Public Works, Alderman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 3 items. The first is reading of an ordinance, first reading of an ordinance amending the Jacksonville zoning map for property located at 1112 Veterans Drive from B4 to B4 with special use. And I so move.
Is there a second? Alderman Williams?
Be it ordained that the Jacksonville zoning map for property located at 1112 Veterans Drive be amended, changing the zoning classification from B4 General Business District to B4 General Business District with special use permit.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I have a question. So we haven't had many people come speak out in opposition, and so I appreciate the fact that these women stood before us today. So in light of their concerns, is there any caveat at all that if there would be an issue down the road, I know we'll work closely with our police department, what would happen if there are issues? Is there a way for us to shut it down, or what are the repercussions if there's a problem?
If there would be a problem that would somehow create a violation of the law, there's always various ways we can shut it down at that stage. The point is well taken. There may need to be some security stepped up out in that area with this. For those who aren't aware, and certainly I know you weren't here for the presentation of the Plans Commission, but these are very heavily regulated facilities with typically 2 sets of doors to get into the place. Unless the rules have changed, all of the product is locked in a vault. And if you would go in and take a look at what you're looking to purchase, whether medicinal or not, you would just have cases of empty boxes to show what the product was. You would place your order, then they would go into the vault, so to speak, and get that order out. Mr. Pleasant also indicated that he had initially, like many, were not in favor of this type of sale of marijuana or cannabis products. But he said the majority of his customers are not so much for recreational use, but rather for medicinal purposes, and that they're typically middle-aged to elderly. It's not, if you have a picture of the type of people who would typically be visiting and purchasing there, that's the clientele you typically would see there. And the last point was that at this stage, many from Jacksonville are having to travel to Springfield for the same product, whether it's medicinal or for recreational, and this would at least have a facility in Jacksonville. But yes, there are ways that enforcement can be stepped up if this is the case.
This question is for Chief Medford. Years in the past, when people felt uncomfortable with making their bank deposits, they could call the police department and ask for an officer to come out and escort them to the bank. Is that offer still available for it?
We still offer bank escorts. If anyone calls, we will do the bank escort for the deposits. We did them significantly more in the past, but now that a lot of things have gone online banking and a lot of things are done digitally, we don't do as many deposit transports, but we still do offer that service for the community.
Any other discussion? I would ask. Huh?
Sorry, I do have an objection to this. I've lived here all my life, and probably try to work it this time. My late husband's nephew is doing consecutive 5 years for selling meth, federally in 2 different counties. He's 47 years old. He lives with us. We got him through high school. And this does lead to more drugs in a lot of people. And I resent the fact that they said it's for elder people, because I know a lot of elderly people, and they've got a lot more zip than some of these young people, because they're so stoned out, they don't know where in the hell they even are. So I'm begging you, please don't pass this. If you don't have children yourself, please think about what this is going to do. I'm sure you've been out on the street or in the store and seen people like it. And I've been called crazy, and I am. And I can show you crazy if you want to see it, but this is sad crazy, not happy crazy. And it's only going to get worse.
Thank you.
Anyway, his name is Terry Lee Fernandez. Please pray for him. He's done 1 year, he's 5 consecutive, and to be truthful, he'll be lucky if he gets out alive. With my people. I'll probably never see him again. Thank you.
Thanks.
I know they say it's for medicinal purposes, but why doesn't the doctor prescribe it, and why can't you get it at Walgreens? I don't know that answer. I'm not being sarcastic.
No, not at all. And don't get me
answer.
wrong, it's not all for medicinal. This is a recreational facility, but a lot of their sales are to those who have a prescription for it, which gets them a much better price for the cannabis product. But whether it's medicinal, if a doctor prescribes it, they can only be obtained at a cannabis distribution facility run basically or regulated by the state. And so drugstores or pharmacies cannot sell this type of product.
Holly?
I said I wasn't gonna say anything, but I come from the East End, okay? Would you not rather have somebody selling it legally as to buy it out on the street? You don't know what it's laced with. We have to look at these, and the young kids are getting this stuff illegally.
other discussion? I would ask the clerk, please call roll.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Hannett,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Odenettle,
Yes.
Ruben DeSalis. No. Scott,
Yes.
Speed. Watts,
Yes.
Williams. Motion passes. That is first reading.
Yeah, that's
That's
first
just
reading.
first reading.
Yep.
Our second item is the first reading of an ordinance amending the Jacksonville zoning map for property located at 117 East Morton Avenue from B3 to B3 with special use, and I so move.
Is there a second for the Pizza Hut? Alderman Speed?
Be it ordained that the Jacksonville zoning map for the property located at 117 East Morton Avenue be amended, changing the zoning classification from B3 Limited Business District to B3 Limited Business District with special use as a drive-through facility.
Discussion? I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Speed. Scott,
Yes.
Ruben DeSalis. Yes. Odenettle,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Hannett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Our third item is the first reading of an ordinance amending the Jacksonville zoning map for property located at 747 West Lafayette Avenue from public to B4, and I so move.
Is this one?
No.
Okay.
Is there a second? Alderman Large Oldnettle?
Be it ordained that the Jacksonville zoning map for the property located at 747 West Lafayette be amended, changing the zoning classification from public to B4, General Business District.
Discussion? I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Hannett,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Odenettle. Yes. Ruben DeSalis. Yes. Scott,
Yes.
Speed. Watts,
Yes.
Williams. Motion passes.
Very good. Any old business this evening?
I got old business.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think all the aldermen received an email from me, but our first neighborhood community initiative is going to be on the 26th of March. And the letters went out, Brian, yesterday to the property owners, and we're going to do some boots on the ground to hopefully make sure that all the property owners are interested in volunteer help in sprucing up the neighborhood. And so I invite all of you to come out on the 26th. I'm going to send an email out tomorrow or the next day letting you all know where we're going to meet. But I can tell you it's going to be in the area of Case, the alley behind, and on Church Street is the first block we're focusing on May 26th. So come on out and join us. It's only 2.5 hours. We're only going to do this once a month. And we've had a lot of people step up. Sure. It's March. March, yes.
But you're
March
going to have a
26th.
series of these.
Every month, the
Okay.
fourth Saturday of every month.
So,
It's, if we just meet at Eli Bridge, that'd be a great gathering spot, Eli Bridge. Brian, do you have anything you want to add?
Come out and have fun.
Yeah, come out and have fun. The Rotary's gonna,
There'll be a different location every 4 weeks.
yep. We're trying to rotate it through all of the, each of our wards. So all of us will have a chance to help out each of our wards and neighborhoods, and we'll look to each of you perhaps for some direction or concerns that you have in the weeks to come. But we drove around one day for 2 hours, I think, and we have a pretty good idea of some next locations that we want to go to, of people who could really use a hand up, and that's what we want to do. Bring the community together and work together. We hope the neighbors will come out. We hope the property owners will come out, work alongside of us, and make a difference. 9 a.m. We'll start checking in about 8:45. We'll get started at 9. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a quick question. So this is all new to me.
Sure.
So the program is new. This is my first time hearing of
Yeah, so there's been quite a bit of publicity out through the media on all of our local media sources. We've also been putting some stuff out on social media. We'll have letters that will go out to the property owners. We've had 5, 6 groups, including churches, that have reached out and said that they would like to partner with us and want to bring volunteers to come out and help us. The volunteers do have to be over the age of 18, but certainly we've gotten a really good response so far, so I'm pretty excited about it. If you have a group that's interested, perhaps after the meeting, you could give me your name and email address, and I could put you on that email distribution list, and you could reach out to your groups or your friends and invite them to come out and work with us the 4th Saturday of every month, only for 2.5 hours. We're not doing it any longer.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks. Good question.
You're providing like the bags,
So,
right?
right, we got a donation from Reynolds. We're gonna be working with, it's not area anymore, it's Green, Forever Green? Green for Life. Green for Life. And they're gonna have dumpsters. We're gonna be working with Brian's department. We'll segment things out. It'll be really organized that day. In the email that goes out, we'll probably ask if you have a rake or a shovel or a leaf blower, those type of things that you're comfortable in using. We're not talking about heavy equipment or any of that type of stuff. We'll put that in the email, but whatever you're comfortable using, that's what we suggest you bring. We'll have some gloves, but we'd encourage you to bring your own work gloves, and we're gonna put you to work when you get there.
Any new business? Yes, please.
It's that time of year again. It's the time for the Jacksonville Citywide Yard Sale. I've set the date for Memorial Day weekend, which would be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, May 27th, 28th, 29th. And hopefully we can get this publicized a bit more. People can reach out to me, call me, email me, however they need to. And that's pretty much all I have.
It's not about you.
Okay. Okay.
We're talking, let's see, there's, what day? May or March? March 26th, there's a celebration of life for Small J.
In the afternoon, though.
In the afternoon.
2 to 5.
I'm going to. I'm gonna be there.
And I believe it's at Muggsy's. Okay, Ron Smoljanic and Dina.
So is there a motion now? Or is there any other
Business.
Mr. Mayor, could I have one quick public comment? I'm sorry. I meant to do it earlier. I was
Absolutely,
taking notes
Mayor.
and I forgot.
Please.
I'll be brief, real quick. Jeremy Combs, resident here in Jacksonville, and you guys know me mostly from WLDS News, but I left that hat over there at the table. Although some of you guys I'd like to talk to after the meeting if you're free, after tonight's meeting. But what a lot of folks didn't know, my uncle was David Bias. He was superintendent of water and sewer for Jacksonville for 21 years. 3 weeks ago today, we lost him, and it was unexpected. 2 weeks ago yesterday, we had his funeral services. We had small and intimate family memorial because he was quiet and understated. I wanted to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming before the service. After the service, we had gathering of friends because we thought with the unexpectedness, Aunt maybe wouldn't be up for a full visitation. It was a good day. It was a trying day, but when I walked out, I was the first one that came out of the chapel, and Ricky Herron and his crew were all standing there, hat in hand, to talk to the family and give their condolences. And I thanked them then, spoke with Ricky separately about something else later and thanked him, but I wanted to publicly thank Ricky, you, and your guys. It was just a few moments of your day, but you'll never know what that meant to us. So thank you, and thank you guys.
Thanks, Jeremy. And stick around, Alderman, because he'll want to talk to you after the meeting, right? All right. So any other new business? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. Alderman Williams, second by Large Old Nettle. We are adjourned.